Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Kevin, I'm a geek, you are watching Kevin the Geek, and welcome to my admittedly slightly delayed responding to your comments video. So first of all, I just have to sincerely apologize for the lateness of this. This is obviously something I normally try and do for the first full weekend of the month, and this is where I of course read comments that have been left on my videos the previous month. So these are comments that were left in February, and the reason for the delay is quite simple. Obviously, I've just returned from a trip to Benidorm, where I have gone out there to attempt to record and make footage. So we will see in the coming weeks how that all went. And of course, I will speak about that more at some point. But yeah, basically, with a combination of babysitting and rehearsals and late work finishes, and of course my trip to Benidorm, I didn't get it done for the weekend before, which is when I was hoping to get it out for. So it is happening now. As of today, I'm recording this on the Wednesday, and it is officially my last day in my current job. I was originally supposed to finish work on Friday, but I was like, yeah, we got no work for you. So yeah, bye-bye kind of thing. So I do have a couple extra days to myself before I start my new job on Monday, and so I intend to make the best of that and record as much content as I can to, I think in theory, finish all of my videos that I need to do for the month of March, which will help me out because I have a show at the end of this month that I'm doing an adult panto for a couple of days. Next month I've got a show in the middle of April, and then once those are over, I've got a lot more time back to myself. So at the moment, I'm rehearsing on 5 days a week. So yeah, trying to juggle everything, a little bit hard to do at the moment. But I don't expect any of you to have sympathy for me. But of course, I'm trying to still produce content on a daily basis for you all. But of course, I'm here to respond to your comments, and as always, I don't promise to read every comment. I only try to do ones that I feel that I can give a response to. And I want to start with Andy. If you remember last month's responding to your comments video, I did a little sort of tongue-in-cheek sort of Andy complains little segment. But I want to start with Andy. Andy, what I will say with you, and I always say this, I love every comment that comes in because I always appreciate any kind of feedback that comes in. I take constructive criticism, I listen to what you guys say, and I do try and make adjustments to suit the entirety of the community, not just singular people, of course. So obviously bear that in mind. With you at the moment, Andy, I just feel that at times you're pushing the boundary a little bit. So all I'm going to ask is you sort of try to rein yourself in a little bit, because you have a lot of comments that get repeated. And yes, admittedly, sometimes I don't respond to them. Sometimes it's because I'm saving them for these kind of videos. And sometimes it's because I've already given you much time in answering that same question. And so it would be counterproductive for me to repeat that. But one of the comments that you did in particular that I wanted to just give a couple of bits onto. I don't think I saw the community vote. The repeater kid is me before you get any more sycophantic solidarity likes. I know you're busy and poorly and you like a good waffle, but you brought some of this on yourself. Introducing new series, it was never sustainable. Then you started showing 5 consecutive days, showing buying an island or something. 30 minutes vlogs talking about Doctor Who, old vlogs without showing them. Pinned to the original, keep it simple. Structure is what you need. Also, organization. If you have 2 banks you owed both money, you wouldn't ignore one. You'd put a plan together to keep manager happy and pay back both together. You stop buying expensive things you can't afford to pay back, or you get out of hand and you totally forget man down. So there was obviously a lot in within that, and there was other stuff as well in different comments as well. I do appreciate the fact that I did try a lot of stuff in the early days. And this is what I come to, and I say, I listen to comments and I listen to feedback. And so that is where I put out a poll on my community tab at the end of last year. I mentioned it in multiple videos because that poll was running for a good month. like a really good long period. It wasn't just like a one-day kind of thing and that's it. It was running for a long time. Many videos I mentioned about this poll saying, head on over there, check it out, and put your vote in there for how you would like to see the future of this channel. And that's what I did. And I basically gave you options of like, keeping it exactly as it is, maybe putting in more weekly shows, maybe rotating things more, a bunch of different options. And ultimately, the main consensus that came from the community is pretty much keep things as they are, But I did take into account what some others people are saying, and maybe you want to try and get some more stuff finished. You want to maybe tighten it up. And that is what I think that I feel that I have done. I like to think that I have put something in place that is to tighten it all up, to make it a bit more streamlined. So for example, if you think before, I probably had 3, maybe 4 things I was doing on a weekly basis. I have 5 days each week that I'm dedicating to weekly shows in order to get more things done. So Fridays, of course, has been the In-Betweeners, which, where are we? Sorry, I'm on the wrong month. The end of March is basically when we finish the In-Betweeners. And then, of course, that show will then be replaced on a weekly basis by Outnumbered to, I think, in theory, finish that by the end of this year. So that's 2 shows being finished on a Friday. Saturday, of course, I'm doing Not Going Out. I'm debating what I do because I know there's a sort of a split kind of period. So maybe at the end of that period, I may pause Not Going Out for a little bit, do something else, put that in its place for a little period of time, and then maybe bring Not Going Back for some of the later series, because it's obviously been going 14 odd series or whatever. Sunday, it's got my Scottish Sundays. I finished Still Game. I put Rabbit Nesbit into it. I have a plan for when I finish that. I'm going to do what was it called? Two Doors Down, and I still have other Scottish things I'm going to trickle in and make sure that they get done. Monday, of course, is Benidorm. That will be replacing by One Foot in the Grave, which, of course, on YouTube, I've done the first series, and I've done the 2 Christmas specials that came after Series 2. Series 2 is already recorded. That's out on Patreon. So when Benidorm comes to an end, One Foot in the Grave, Series 2 will be coming to YouTube, and then I will continue on. Tuesdays, I'm doing Gimme Gimme and Black Books. So, like I said, that for me is a very clear plan of what I'm doing to tighten things up. Wednesdays and Thursdays is where I'm putting in some of my more monthly shows. And then, of course, again, I have my plans in them. Things like Goodnight Sweetheart, I'm probably going to be doing them. When I do them, rather than doing 1 episode a month, I will do it as 2 episodes a month. Ghosts, similarly. Ghosts will probably finish at some point this year by doing it 2 episodes a month. And it's things like that I'm doing. Now, one of the other big things that you have made very, very clear is that you do not like the Patreon guaranteed requests. Now, I appreciate that not everybody likes the idea of paying somebody for content. I'm fully on board with that. I do not expect anyone. I never expected anyone in my wildest dreams to want to sign up to pay to support me. I didn't think that even people would want to watch me, let alone this. So I have to support those people who are financially supporting me with their own hard-earned money. And that for me is a good way of being able to do that, which means I keep the balance with some of the normal stuff that I do for the normal plebs, as you've often referred to them as, and also those people that are paying to support me. That way we get some new fresh stuff each month as well. So of course, moving forward, it's gonna happen. The monthly Patreon stuff, that is gonna be happening. There's gonna be 7 obviously super geeks available who will give me their monthly guaranteed reactions. I'll potentially rotate them around if need be, but that's what's going to be happening with that one. And of course, I've added in an additional one, which is more available for every single member who is a paid Patreon supporter, which is a random kind of wheel spin thing. That will be happening in that same week. So that's not going to take up an additional slot. It's just going to slot in there to give someone else an option for that. And again, to give a little bit more something different, you know? And that's just the way that I like it. I think I have got a very good balance. So, Andy, I do appreciate everything you said, but I'm just going to ask that you start to think a little bit more about some of your comments, not necessarily repeat them too much, and start to rein them in a little bit, because if it continues the way it does, and it's drawing so much focus from me when I look at my comments that pretty much all I'm seeing is Andy, 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 I may have to take the very drastic decision to maybe temporarily mute you and mute your comments. I don't want to do that. So this is just a friendly please request. Please just pull it back a little bit. Just rein it back in a little bit. I appreciate constructive feedback, but at times you just go a bit too far. So that's where we are with that one. Apologies, that one was a big, long response. But I've been toying with this one for a good month or so, so I just felt I had to do that. Moving on. I love Benidorm, but I've always been worried that if I actually went there and had a bad time, it would spoil my enjoyment of the show, which I love rewatching. I've always imagined them playing the Benidorm theme song over and over on the coach transfer, or arriving at the hotel and finding cardboard cutouts of Matteo everywhere. That said, you might go there, love it, and enjoy the show even more. Me, I'm happy exploring Benidorm on the Google Street View from the comfort of my home. I'll look forward to seeing your videos of the trip. You never know, maybe you'll convince me to go. So, all I will say based on the trip, to give you a very quick overview of what I did. Obviously, I flew out on the Friday, landed sort of about 6-ish. So by the time we got to our hotel, it was about 7:30-7-ish. Obviously, it'd been a long day and everything. And then we had Saturday, Sunday, and then flew back on the Monday. So the first evening, we pretty much, me and my friend Jack, who came with me, he was sort of my cameraman as well for the week. And it was actually his birthday, which was absolutely lovely. So first night, we literally went to the Matteo's bar, which is of course the one that was created by Darren Litton, because the first thing I wanted to find out was Darren Litton going to be there, and would I be able to convince him to do an interview with me? Unfortunately, he was in the UK, so I never got the chance to meet him. But I did go to Matteo's. We literally only stayed for like one drink, so we were both quite a bit tired. But tell you what, Matteo's bar is amazing for fans of the show. Like, there's so many photos on the wall. The door that leads into the toilet is literally like the door that was to Temple Savage's office. It's literally got her like sign on the door. Above that, you've got the blow and go sign. In the toilets themselves, instead of like normal wallpaper, around the walls, there's literally pages of scripts from the show, which they've sort of pasted onto the wall. So that is really cool. Like most of the time you go to the toilet, you just want to get in and out, but you literally go in there and you literally just see like things like, oh, I remember that scene. Oh, I remember that. So that's really cool. Yeah, on the screens they've got little episodes or little clips of episodes kind of playing through. Like one of the first things that came up was Mel singing "Lonely Girl," which was just a wonderful flashback. So yeah, we did that on the Friday night. Saturday in the morning, we went to Altea, which was absolutely beautiful. We went on the tram over to there. In the afternoon and sort of the evening, what was it, Saturday? So we went through the old town lot. We went down Calle Girona, which is like the main strip and everything, and we went to Benidorm Palace. We actually saw a show there, and we had a meal as part of it. That was fantastic. Then the Sunday, we walked up the hill to the Cross, which that was actually Jack's birthday. So, I mean, yeah, I knackered him out just letting you walk in. I mean, it was only a mile, but it's so steep. So if you see any footage, I think I did like a bit of a time lapse kind of thing of me going up there. But yeah, I was exhausted getting up there. But honestly, the views when you got up there, it was worth it. I kept saying to him, like, I feel like you've earned this view. And then again, so we went. We saw like where the Sol Pelicanos hotel is. We couldn't get in, unfortunately, so we couldn't see like the pool area. We did see the Morgan's Bar, which of course was used for for the Neptune stuff. So that was quite cool to see that. Didn't get to see it like properly in the evening, but was outside there and did all that. And then the Sunday night, I went back to the Matteo's bar because I wanted to do what I was calling the Benidorm Challenge. And there's 6 cocktails that have been sort of inspired by the show. Unfortunately, there's no Oh God, what's the shot? I think that Leslie paused. The Angry Dwarf. There's no Angry Dwarf shot there, but the I'm trying to remember now. What were the cocktails? So you had the Blow and Go, the Pink Pussy, the Bananarama, the Temple Savage, the Madge, and the Witch's Tit. They were, so I had literally all 6 cocktails, and I did actually get from there. I don't have a bag in it, so I can't show you right this second. But I did get a Solana sort of beach towel, which is quite kind of cool as well there. So yeah, I did a lot of stuff there, and I'm excited to share with you the footage at some point with whatever I managed to do there. Right, moving on to I think this is just a general comment. There aren't many shows you react to these days that I've seen before, which I'm sad about because you're a good reactionary, probably the best on YouTube, although the Gallifrey girls are good, a bit too chilled down with their random 3 weeks off or can't be asked this week. Well, I mean, the only time I really take time off is pretty much when I take a holiday or I'm ill. They seem to be winding their channel down. Gemma is the opposite, don't know her. She watches some fantastic stuff, but has the reactions of a dead fish. Wow, okay. Popcorn in Bed is a mixture of the two. I think Popcorn in Bed, if I remember right, I think that's just like movies, if I remember correctly. I think I've just kind of seen her. Well, it's like her and a sister or something, if I remember rightly. I could subscribe to Patreon, but I'm poor, hence no Netflix or BritBox, probably why I haven't seen half the shows you react to. But I do enjoy Benidorm, One Foot in the Grave and Good Night Sweetheart, kind of. I know Only Fools and Horses, but I'm not sure I can stomach rewatching that show again, even though it's brilliant. Oh well, not to worry. Keep up the good work, and thanks for what you do. To be honest, thanks to you guys. I mean, obviously, my trip to Benidorm, that would not have been possible by my Patreon supporters. So, humongous thank you to everyone on that. Do always keep giving me suggestions. Now, unfortunately, my list is growing ever exponentially longer. But, you know, I do try, I want to do a nice mixture of older stuff and newer stuff to kind of, you know, find stuff for various different people. I will say in April, I will be doing at least one episode of something that I've never done on the channel before that has been highly requested. And I mean highly, pretty much from day one. And I'm especially doing that because it will actually coincide with it being the 30th anniversary of the first ever episode airing. That's all, the only clues I will give you. So make of that what you will, but that will be something I'm pretty sure that everyone will be very delighted to see. Kevin, it would be great if you did a reaction to Mind Your Language, 97 to 86. Sorry, 77 to 86. But I understand if you can't on YouTube because it's political incorrect now in 2025. Now, that's the show, if I remember correctly, is the one that's sort of like a English as a secondary language kind of thing. Now, there's not really any shows that I will definitely say that I will just kind of say categorically no to, you know, without watching at least once. One that was mentioned to me some point recently, I think, was the Black and White Minstrel Show, which is the kind of one I'm just like, I can't see in any way that can be in any way good to watch. That's the kind of thing that I'd be like, probably like, I don't think, no. Mind Your Language is the kind of one that I would be interested to see from an analytical kind of point of view, you know, knowing that it has the potential for the time in which it was aired to be something that could be viewed as politically incorrect now, but it's more probably curiosity on my part in like what they did with it. Was it something that was quite racially insensitive? Could it be something that they've done it that is very clever? And could it be something that's maybe a kind of somewhere between the two? So it's the kind of thing that I can imagine I could maybe do at least one episode of at some point. Whether I would do the entire show of it, probably less likely, but it is something, you know, that I would be open to at least seeing an episode of. A lot of YouTubers gave up on Benidorm due to more puerile storylines. I watched them all under sufferance, but Mel was my favourite character. Better format was 1 hour slots as opposed to shorter 30-minute slots. A few have passed away since Benidorm was filmed. Spare the melodramatics. I don't know. First of all, I do agree, and I said it very early on. I think the episodes needed to be longer. It needed more time dedicated to it. So that was, I was very glad when that did kind of come in. I think it's a shame when people give up, particularly when you've it's one thing to give up after maybe 1 or 2 episodes. And you think, it's not really for me. But if you get to series 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, let's say in the case of the Garvers, you go, right, Garvers are gone, I'm not watching anything more, kind of thing. I'm like, you've invested so much time. It's a shame that I think that you've just given up. I mean, for me, yes, I will definitely say what I've seen so far of series 10, which is the first 5 episodes, if I remember correctly. It's definitely showing that in this one. I don't know whether he's running out of storyline ideas, whether just Darren Listen was maybe losing a bit of focus, didn't develop the characters especially enough, but it has felt definitely a bit more lacking in this particular series. But the rest of it, I would argue, it's okay. It's not been necessarily like you had some series where it's pretty much this is a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 kind of thing. But the rest of the series, I think, has still been a good sort of 6, 7, 8 out of 10. And as for the melodramatics, I mean, come on, mate. You think about it, for most of the people watching this, they've probably seen it and they watch it over a period of time. I feel that the way that I watch these with a lot of these shows, let's say, for example, with Benidorm, I'm watching this pretty much on a week-by-week basis, and I feel like they're becoming, in the same way that you guys feel like you're becoming part of my community, part of my family. I get to know and I invest so much time and energy and emotions into their characters and their storylines that when I learn that the actors pass away, which a lot of the time kind of hits me very sudden that I'm not expecting, I'm sorry. If you think that's melodramatic, then maybe that says more about you than it says about me. I'm an emotional person, and I'm not ashamed to admit that I'm an emotional person, and I get invested in stuff. That's as far as I'm concerned, yeah, whatever. I think you get what I'm saying. With the in-betweeners, for the earring thing, the idea that wearing an earring in a specific ear signals sexual orientation is an old stereotype, particularly from the 70s and 80s. In some Western cultures, it was believed that wearing an earring in the right ear signified being gay, where the left ear meant being straight, leading to the phrase, left is right, right is wrong. Don't think I've ever heard that phrase before. However, this notion is outdated and not widely recognised today. Earrings are now seen as a personal fashion choice rather than a coded message about sexuality. Cultural norms about earrings have also varied across different cultures and time periods, making the gay earring stereotype largely irrelevant in modern society. I think that's fair. It's a weird thing. I wish I knew why and what it was that made supposedly the left ear gay, right ear straight kind of thing, or other way around, whichever one it is. Because I just remember that it's so weird. It's just a weird stereotype, or is that just me? I get what you mean about this episode of Rhapsody as it being a filler episode. The only thing is it was given a bigger audience, which I think this episode actually deserved. Imagine a Still Game episode only the audience got to watch. You'd be raging you didn't see it. I get what you're saying, because obviously after the finale of Still Game, there was of course another kind of live stage show, which some people have said is apparently available to watch, and literally others says it was never filmed. It's never been released on DVD or anything, so you basically can't watch it. Which is, again, it's one of those, it's a shame, because obviously I came to Still Game after it sort of all finished, so I never got the opportunity to see it. So I do get what you mean. And yeah, it's one of those, I think, that I think it was maybe just because it was so close to when the stage show had come out to when this episode came out, which maybe that was just why I was thinking it felt a bit redundant. You have to go see Bill Bailey live. I live on the other side of the world and have managed to see him twice. Best stand-up shows I have ever seen. The thing with Bill Bailey is, from the little I know of him, of a stand-up comedian, a lot of his humour is musical based. And the fact is, I do shows. I have worked with musical directors and composers and various different things, and it's so clear that there are certain people that are just geniuses at music. Bill Bailey is not only a genius when it comes to music, but he's also a genius at comedy and being able to combine the two. So it is definitely something that I know I would love to see a Bill Bailey stand-up, whether it's in live or a filmed version. Still on the subject of Bill Bailey, Bill Bailey had his own sketch show called Is It Bill Bailey, which will be worth reacting to. I'll add it to my list at some point. Maybe I'll do that on a day that I already upload Black Book at some point. The piece he was playing at 14 minutes is the one he uses to demonstrate the influence of Cockney pub music on classical. It's pure genius. Bernard's girlfriend in this episode is the absolute fabulous ventriloquist Nina Conti, who you could react to as well. Now, when it comes to stand-up comedy, that is something I want to do more of. I have got a bunch of stand-up shows that I have currently got in my folder, which realistically at this moment in time, I will probably record them at some point when I get the time, initially upload them to Patreon, and then find the time at some point to put them onto YouTube. If I look at my list, I have got, this is just to give you some idea of some of the people that I've downloaded. Give me other suggestions of the stand-up, either comedians or shows that you think would be good to see. Again, I've gone for a wide variety of maybe some older, some newer. So I've got an Al Murray show. I've downloaded An Audience with Jimmy Tarbuck, An Audience with Ken Dodd, An Audience with Kenneth Williams. The Bill Bailey show that I've downloaded is Part Troll, which, from what some people have said, that's one of his better ones. I've done Dylan Moran, who of course is in Black Box as well, Greg Davies, Jason Manford, and Tim Vine. Tim Vine's is Tim to you, which is just one of my favourite titles for a show. Although, just for the sheer randomness and weirdness of it, the Greg Davies one, which I think is his first one, Firing Cheese Balls at a Dog. Yeah, I appreciate that they're all male comedians, so especially feel free to suggest female stand-ups as well. Any ones that you think would be good as well. I love what Gary did for Reg in this episode of Goodnight Sweetheart. I thought it was a bit of a boring episode overall. It's really fun and an interesting program, but the pace is so slow. Regardless, great reaction. I do get what you mean sometimes, and I think that's the nature of Goodnight Sweetheart. The fact that it is a time travel thing, and it's not quite fully comedy, not quite fully drama, it's somewhere in the middle. Occasionally, I do agree that pacing-wise, it can just go, how do we find the balance between basically the two eras? Maybe sometimes I think it could be better to almost do like a two-parter and make it almost like an hour thing and go, there's pretty much one episode dedicated to events solely in the past, and another one which is solely to events in the present. And that way you can get that, maybe that balance. I don't know. But I love Goodnight Sweetheart for the most part, though obviously issues with it, which I have mentioned multiple times. Back to the In-Betweeners. If you view Donovan as a teenage boy struggling to accept his own sexuality and taking his frustrations out on others because of it, it really does explain a lot. It still doesn't excuse his behaviour, of course, but it certainly offers a fascinating explanation for why the character is the way he is. Which, yeah, you know what? Obviously, I've now seen all of Series 3, which is obviously the final series, and the first movie. I've not seen the second movie, so I don't know if Donovan is in that. So I don't know if we'll get it. All I can say is, by the end of the third series, there's been no... I don't even think Donovan appeared in another episode after this one that it was in. I could be wrong. Oh, actually, no, he did appear in the movie briefly, because it was giving Will a wedgie. But yeah, like I like to sort of analyse things a bit more. And some people like that, some people don't like that. And I think there was a follow-up comments were going, oh, dude, just don't need to overanalyze it. Just watch it and enjoy it. But that's the way my mind works. I like to delve into things, and I like to try and see beyond what you just see on a screen. Or if I'm reading a book, I like to see what you think about more than just what you read on the page. That's just me, and I like doing that. So yeah, I'm glad that Leighton kind of agrees with that statement. I mean, some people did go, is that you trying to subtly suggest something there? No, definitely not. Still on the in-betweeners, I'm sure somebody excuse me. I'm sure somebody probably did let you know, but if not, Joe Thomas, aka Simon, and Hannah Toynton, aka Tara, met on the show and have been together since 2012 and are now engaged and became parents with a baby girl in 2022. It's a pretty cute outcome for poor Simon after all his Carly troubles. Obviously, at the time of me recording, I've still not seen the In-Betweeners' second movie, which I am hoping to record by the end of this month and have it at least out on Patreon. The first movie, well, actually, probably both movies, some point over the summer. Fingers crossed, editing goes all well with that. But yes, a lot of people have kind of mentioned that in various different comments, and I do think that is really nice. Because I really did think Simon and Tara were a great little couple on the show, and I'm gutted that it ended the way that it did. I can't remember where we are in terms of schedule when this. Oh yeah, so by the time this comes out, the episode where they basically go to Warwick and they end up breaking up. That's already happened. That's already out on the channel. So spoilers if you haven't somehow seen that episode. Apologies for that. But yeah, I liked them as a couple, and I was gutted that it ended. This episode not going out was my first experience of the utter goddess known as Hannah Waddingham. Oh, dude, you are missing out if you did not see her in the one series that she did in Benidorm. What was it, series 6, if I remember correctly? I think that would be right. And especially if you never saw her in Ted Lasso. I mean, God Almighty. I mean, just in general, if you never saw Ted Lasso, what the hell are you doing with your life? That's all I can say on that. It's funny, but it has a downside. People think Scotland and the Scottish people are like this, and that is not the case. I definitely don't. This particular episode, I think it was the third episode of the second series, if I remember correctly. It was the one where someone was literally getting stabbed in the back, kind of thing. I mean, look, I very, very particularly try to separate art from real life as much as I can. There will be times that you can't do that, unfortunately. I mean, if it's one of those kind of like based on true stories, like the recent Toxic Town thing that's obviously been going out on Netflix, that's based on the town that I live in. So literally my town has just been buzzed about it. Everyone's going, oh, you see Toxic Town, you see Toxic Town. So those kind of ones, it is very difficult to kind of separate from, because you see that and you're like, well, this obviously happened to real people. Ramsay Nesbitt, of course, is a sitcom. At times, it does go a bit weird, and there's definitely, I would say, the second series has been a bit of a roller coaster. That some great episodes, some not so great episodes. But I definitely am one of those few people, from what you say, I do not think that all Scottish people are that. Most Scottish people that I've met are absolutely wonderful, lovely people, and that's exactly what I would hope it to be. Thank you for reacting to Dinner Ladies. It's my favourite type of humour, especially because it was me and my dad's humour when he was alive. So Dinner Ladies, of course, is that was the first episode that I did of that show. A lot of people have asked, are you going to be doing more of this show? And I will definitely say that I am doing more, because that was a guaranteed Patreon request from Betzel. Later on this month, the second episode is coming out on, I think it's the 24th, if I remember correctly, only the 24th. And Betzel has also requested the third episode for next month. So that will, again, also be coming out. And I love the fact that, Vexen Trinket here, it's not somebody who I recognise has commented before. So I love that, of course, by doing different things. And this is what I kept saying, with doing these kind of Super Geek Patreons, it does open up the avenue for having different content and different viewers come in to see something that they may not have done. And clearly it's for something like this that they can watch something, and maybe watching me watch something for the very first time, it enables them to relive those happy memories that they had, of watching it with their dad. And that is great, because I'm getting introduced to something, they're kind of getting to relive those happy memories as almost like a vice through me, as it were. So yeah, I'm delighted that I could be of assistance with that one, and I loved what we saw with it. I mean, loads of comments, like so many I could have picked to come out from, and I could have spent an hour responding to all the comments just from that episode alone. James, I absolutely loved Dinner Ladies. Beautifully written, great casting, and a really good example of how comedy can be gentle, observational, and thoughtful, and still be absolutely hilarious. Somewhat overlooked, but I watch it time and time again, and it never gets old. Probably assisted by the fact that Bren very much reminds me of my own mother. Again, you see what I mean? It's yes, it's just amazing. Like I said, that people are able to relive this. And this is possibly why people love reactions. But I absolutely agree, and so many other people seem to agree, because so many comments I all said along the same lines that this is a very overlooked and underrated show. And I absolutely agree. I did the second episode. Like I said, that's already available on Patreon right now if you want to watch it early before it comes out to YouTube later on this month. And of course, I will be doing episode 3 of Dinner Ladies, which I'll probably try to tie in on the day that it comes out on YouTube to come out on the same day. So if you're not already a subscriber on the Patreon, you want to get the early access, then please do consider joining it, but only if you can afford it. I don't want anyone to ever stretch their bank balance on my account. From the Animorphs video, personally, I feel that the dog was the best actor on this show. You know what? I do kind of agree with you on that one. It was a bit weird, and it was very a 90s kids TV program, wasn't it? Definitely didn't have the budget. I would be interested if they tried to remake a show like that for the modern day. Like, because aren't they doing like Goosebumps? Like, I think Disney are doing something. I think it was like David Schwimmer, if I remember rightly. Like, I've seen various trailers and stuff, that's a weird show. Because obviously I did a reaction to an episode of Goosebumps. I don't know if it was the first episode, but it was at least an episode of Goosebumps. That was Halloween Before Last, if I remember rightly. And then obviously that was one that they did based on the show. Then I don't know if they did more, but I have a vague memory there might have been like an animated series. Then I know you definitely had, I think, at least 2 movies with Jack Black, which was within maybe the last couple of years. And then obviously like, Disney seemed to be doing this thing with David Schwimmer. So yeah, they really like to do it. So I would be interested with modern graphics and abilities. I would be intrigued to see a sort of a reboot, remake of Animorphs. Don't get me wrong. With Psychoville, I'm glad that this is getting some love on YouTube. This is such a hard one not to spoil in respect of Inside Number 9. Ideally, you just come across an Easter egg if you're a long-time fan, but there's no guarantee that someone reacting will have followed their career chronologically. No, I seem to be doing it backwards. Edit. Tea leaf, thief. Cockney rhyme and slang. How did I not pick up on that? I'm ashamed of myself that I did not pick up tea leaf meant thief. I'm an idiot. I am. But yes, I as much as I want to continue doing Inside Number 9, and I will continue Inside Number 9 at one point, I do feel that Mason, who of course has requested this, basically that seems to be the same thing with Betzel and Dinner Ladies, that Psychoville is going to be carrying on. And I've spoken to Mason, and what I've given as a suggestion, because you basically have 2 series of this show, and one episode is also a Halloween special. What I could essentially do is say, if you want to do your monthly request to Psychoville for maybe the first series, then I will, at Halloween itself, I will probably do the Halloween special and all of the episodes of series 2 and get it done all in sort of one go. And then we can obviously open up slots to other things for the Super Geek Week. But yeah, Psychoville, I'm very confident is going to be complete at some point, and I will definitely do more into number 9 at some point. On the aeroplane reaction, Kevin, will there ever be a possibility that 1 year down the road we might get this unedited just for normal subscribers? Ted Lasso, Askwell. I think you meant as well rather than Askwell. Ted Lasso, no, because obviously that was literally the first thing I ever did reactions to, and that was all literally recorded and edited all on my phone. I don't have any of the original footage, so I mean, in theory, I could possibly like do new reactions to literally series 1, 2, and 3, which, if they ever announced like a series 4, which there are rumors that it potentially might do, that is something I could conceivably consider doing, because obviously in the way that I now do it, I could do that, and that would be a way that I could refresh my memory of the show and introduce, you know, potentially more people to it. As it currently stands, no. Ted Lasso, at least those original videos that I did, there is just no full version I can release of those. With the movies, and obviously if you're unaware, basically YouTube you get the edited condensed version, and on Patreon you get the full uncut versions, and you're thought about maybe down the road I may make them available to the non-Patreon people. That is something I have thought about for a while, and I've gone back and forth and think, if I was to do that, how long is an appropriate amount of time for me to feel that I'm giving the benefits to the Patreon supporters, and also then allow it for the for the YouTube viewers. And because obviously when I first did them, I was making them available to everybody. So it is highly likely that I will implement something like that at some point. At this present moment in time, it's not. That's obviously the way that I'm doing it, but it is definitely something I am considering. Still on airplane, congratulations yourself on getting the All Together gag. Believe it or not, many reactors don't get it. How? How can they not get it? It's so obvious. What was the line? Something like that. Oh yeah, it was something about him like flying planes. Like it's a completely different plane altogether. And then they literally respond, "It's a completely different plane altogether." Like, it's such an obvious joke, but then again, like it was. I think it was an Only Fools and Horses episode. There was some sort of gag that I somehow missed. It like completely went over the top of my head, and people are literally in the comments like, "How did you not get that joke?" So, yeah, seemingly I think it just depends on what you're doing on the day. Some jokes could just literally fly right over your head, but that one it's such a simple on the nose one. Like if it's a longer drawn out one, maybe I could understand. Like that one, Only Fools and Horses. I think that's what it was. It was such a long thing, and then the payoff was a little bit later, so I just maybe forgot it somehow. But that one is just like bang, bang, it's there. Yeah, I don't know. Kevin, are you loving Only Fools and Horses? Because I love it. That's very good timing for that particular one. Well, considering I am doing 2 episodes this month, actually, I think by the time this is out, this would probably be yesterday, or at least maybe the day before. Yes. I am enjoying Only Fools and Horses, and I think it's starting to get a little bit better, a little bit more tighter. So I'm enjoying it definitely a bit more now than maybe some of the earlier ones. So yeah, I am more than happy to continue with Only Fools and Horses. This is what I was just mentioning about a couple of comments ago. Rita had sex with a guy. He paid for said sex with a check. It bounced 3 days later. Ergo, she reported being assaulted. You seem to miss a lot of the jokes, mate. See what I mean? That's exactly what I was mentioning there, that I don't know how it managed to go over the top of my head. It just did for some unknown reason. With the Idiots Abroad, for the zero gravity flight, the plane is in freefall for 2 minutes. It is nose diving, so you're falling at the same rate as the plane. That's why it seems like you're floating in weightlessness inside of the plane. I guess that kind of does make sense. It's a very logical explanation for that. I mean, 2 minutes seems like such a short amount of time. Like when we say free fall, is it literally just going kind of thing? Which it feels like 2 minutes is too short. Like in my head, I'm just thinking a plane's just going to poof. But I guess, with wind resistance and stuff, like, I mean, like an actual skydive, because I remember reading something like even like a penny or a feather or a human or a big boulder, they would all reach a certain maximum velocity of downward projection. And I think it was literally exactly the same. So the weight didn't really seem to affect it. So, yeah, the fact that, in my head going, yeah, you can just do a skydive and you'll be down in 2 minutes. I think that's probably where I had it in my head, but clearly I've got that wrong. But at least I now have an understanding of how a zero gravity flight actually works. With the in-betweeners, I love the way that Neil, who seems to be the most clueless of the lot of them, is the only one who actually has any success with women. The episode in the Caravan Club and this episode too. This was the final episode, by the way. This is the tall girl, the Kerry girl. He got off with the girl his friends were with before. I think Neil's stupidity is just an act. He plays it well, and he has success when the rest of them annoy every girl they come into contact with. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, Owen. I think he is very underestimated. And I think most people can probably say that they have had a member of their friendship group at some point in their life who at times can come across the most stupid, the most moronic, the most idiotic, but yet somehow, whatever they do, it seems to work. And it does make you think, are they really that stupid and that makes them sort of endearing? Or is it all an act and it pays off to be a masterstroke? I don't know, but I think you've made a very, very good point there. And with that same episode still, the height difference just looks too jarring when the woman is significantly taller. I know the actress is in heels, which makes it look even worse. The only thing I could compare it to is if the woman was much older. Imagine a guy in his early 20s dating a woman in her late 40s/early 50s. Obviously, the best solution would have been Neil to date Kerry from the start. There's always exceptions, of course. Rod Stewart and Penny Lancaster for height, and Emmanuel and Brigitte Macron age. Is that the French president guy? It could be. I don't know anything about them or their age difference. Rod Stewart and Penny Lancaster, yeah, that definitely makes sense. The thing about the age is a very interesting one. And when I talk about age differences in couples, the one couple I always use as my kind of go-to with that is my godmother and her husband. And I use that because it depends totally on the perception, and how you look at it. So for context, my godmother, she's best friends with my mum, so she's the same age, so she's 62 now, I think. And her husband is 21 years older than her, so he'll be 83. And I've basically known them. I've just known them as Kath and Grant, Auntie Kath, for basically all my life. And they were married. Like I know that Grant gave my mum away at her second wedding, so I would have been 3 years old at the time. So for me, like the age thing, when I look at them, it's never been an issue. It's Kath and Grant. But then when you think about it, that 21 age gap, if you look at different periods of their life, it can sound and look a little bit dodgy. Like at the moment, like 62 and 83, it's two older people. Fine, whatever. But then if you were then to put it in that situation where she's 21, he's 42, straight away there, you're like, ooh, that's a bit, and especially when it's an older man, because that will often always get, the guy, he's preying on a younger woman. And I've met a number of people who have dated girls who are 10, 15 plus years younger than they are. And gossip goes round a lot. It's a bit. But then if you take it further, so I remember working at a Haven site as a children's entertainer for the summer, basically a red coat, but their version of it. I remember because I was great with all of the families, and kids and old people. They love me for whatever reason. I have a natural affinity with them. But I remember thinking one particular time there was this one particular family who they had a bunch of different kids, but this one little girl, she was about 3, maybe 4 at the most. She particularly, gravitated towards me, and so whenever I'm on the dance floor and we're doing all the party dance stuff, she'd always want to come to me, and she'd often want to come over and give like a little cuddle or things like that. And obviously, from a safeguarding perspective, you've got to be very careful, with anything like that. So it was always very much, like if the kid wanted to do that, you kind of say no, unless like if the parent goes, oh, it's okay, you can give her a cuddle, then you're kind of okay with it. But otherwise, especially as a guy, there's extra scrutiny on all that kind of stuff. But I remember we were watching whatever the show was on stage. So as the entertainment stuff, I had to sit on the floor with all the kids. There was obviously a bunch of us. And this particular girl, she wanted to sit next to me. And so she kept wanting to like put her head on my knee. She wanted to sit in my lap and like hug my arm and all this kind of different stuff. And again, like I said, you've got to be so careful. But I remember looking at her thinking, our age difference is there or thereabouts the age difference between my Auntie Kath and her husband Grant. And when I looked at it from that perspective, thinking I'm a grown man, this is literally a child, a toddler, you're like, ugh, that is very creepy. Where if you think about it, like at some point, like a little girl would then grow up to marry, that difference. And again, like I said, it's all down to perspective at the end of the day. And it's, yeah. I personally, I have no issues. Like if you want to date someone, if they're of legal consenting age, date whoever you want at whatever age they are. If they make you happy, they make you happy. If the height thing is what is an issue for you, then it's an issue for you. I've dated some girls, and unfortunately, there have been 1 or 2 girls that I've kind of rejected for admittedly kind of similar shallow reasons. And I think back to some of the time, I'm a bit ashamed of myself in those ones. I wish I'd gone about it in a different way. But sometimes as a teen, you think about it in those shallow ways. So yeah, there we go. That is going to round up my monthly, responding to your comments video. I apologize if I didn't respond to all of my commenters this month. And I do again apologize that it is a little bit late. So the plan that this is coming out the weekend of the sort of 15th, 16th. So the coming week. First of all, the Hogmanay special of Rabsy Nesbitt will be out on the Sunday, which won't be coming to YouTube until December, when I'm going to tie in with Christmas. Benidorm, I am still to record, because one thing I did when I was in Benidorm is I've recorded a bunch of little intros with me there in Benidorm. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it all looks okay. So I'm going to put them in there. So that's going to be coming out Monday the 17th. Then we've got Black Books. Modern Life is Goodish. 2 episodes of Ghosts. The series 3 finale of The In-Between is coming out on the 21st. 22nd, not going out. I'm just pausing the return of that series 5 until April. So on the 22nd, Rising Damp is going to be coming out for an episode. Similarly with Rabsy Nesbitt, again, I will pause the next series until next month. So Chewing the Fat will come out with a new episode. Also on the 23rd, I'm going to release my all episodes to my reaction to Stage, because the 23rd is, of course, the 5th anniversary of the first national lockdown for the UK for COVID, which just is amazing that it was literally 5 years ago. So yes, I've reacted to all 6 episodes of Stage, so I'm really excited for you to check those out. And then the Monday 24th, we've got the Super Geek Week. So we've got Dinner Ladies, the 2nd episode of that. It's a Sin, Red Dwarf, the USA pilot episode. We have got a stand-up special with Lily Savage. We've got the return of Psychoville. And then we've also got a musical thing which is Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, which is amazing. And I literally can say with confidence that I've watched that more than any other show that I've reacted to on the channel, because since I watched that back in February, I've watched that about 15 times on my own. I've listened to the soundtrack multiple times on my own. I honestly love it that much. And then to round off the month, we will, of course, have Bat Friends, Series 2, Episode 2, and Benidorm Series 10, Episode 7. So that is all to come for the rest of this month. And, of course, there'll be other content on Patreon as well. We've got all the ones that will be happening in April. So, of course, Dinner Ladies will be happening again. Psychoville will be happening again, plus other stuff that will be new. And, yeah. Just can't wait for you to check it all out. So thank you for persevering with me to this point, as always, through all of my random waffling. Please always make sure you drop your comments below. I love reading every single comment that you leave. Of course, please do subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications. And if you would like to support me financially, which you do not have to, I do not want anyone to put themselves out. But then if you do think that there's a little bit that you can or want to do, whether it's the smallest amount at £2 a month or one of the higher tier levels, you'll be more than welcome. But until next time, my name's Kevin. I'm a geek, and you've been watching Kevin the Geek. Goodbye.